following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, the Genesys RPG Podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys Role Playing System, created by Fantasy Flight Games and produced by Edge Studio. A show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both the players and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, are my good friends and co-hosts, Chris Holmes, Stefan Dragonspawn. How are we doing, fellas? Starting with you, homie.
Oh, I'm doing really good, man. I'm doing pretty good. Been doing some golfing, so I have to get in shape, or else I'm gonna die when I'm out in Arizona, and I'll never be on a podcast again. So,
You don't want.
but what's awesome, I'll tell you what's awesome is that my buddy Bob, which is awesome. He's been listening to our show. Been starting with the first episode. Episode 0. Has been listening to it while he's been playing golf, and he says my melodic voice has improved his game, and I'm like, dude, that's creepy. I think I'm impressed, but so thanks, Bob. Watch out! There's someone coming at you, Bob. Watch out! So maybe he's listening to it. 4, right? So maybe that happened in the middle of his backswing. Who knows? I told him I'm going to throw random shit in there for him during the show now, just because. He might be listening to it while he's golfing. He might not hear that for another 3 years, but who knows?
He does have quite a few to
but we'll see. He does have quite a few to catch up on. But anyways, been gaming and by the way, played some Dice Throne last night with my buddies, and I'm 4-0 by the way, playing Dice Throne. Yeah. So I'm not the weakest link when it comes to that. We've been playing some 2-on-2 matches, so it's been kind of fun.
I went 0-2 last night. Sean took me and beat the floor with me two games in a row.
What'd you play?
I played as the Pyromancer in one game, and he was playing as the Moon Elf.
Okay.
Who, by the way, the Moon Elf is a shutdown expert. That will just shut you down. Eric, my buddy, he was playing. He was playing the Moon Elf. I was playing the what was it? The Barbarian?
Come back. No. Already played with him. Come back to me. Who else did you play?
And then the second game, I played the Treant versus Sean in the Barbarian, and that one came down to the wire. It came down to the wire. We were pretty close.
Okay.
Both those characters have a lot of heal.
They do. That's the defense for Barbarian is heal first. Yeah, so I played the monk, fun character, and I was playing the cursed pirate with the Moon Elf. So did not become I didn't lose all my cursed doubloons and didn't have to flip over to the undead pirate. So anyways, all right, well, hey, enough of that. Stefan, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
You're here.
Yeah, I'm here. Not as much gaming. So, gamed last Thursday, the Holmes of Tirnoth. We're going to have to put that on hold as some of us have other stuff to do on Thursdays. But it was still a good game. I liked it. Ended up on a high note where we're 2 ogres almost mopped the floor with Salbar. So, although one ogre had a couple of crits, and then he was disoriented and staggered. I think he had all the conditions. He couldn't do anything, basically. Prevented from doing everything. That was kind of awesome.
I think he might have also had that decapitated condition too, right? At the end?
At the very end.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much
one you really can't recover from.
No, exactly. The massive
condition.
That's our condition to remove.
Yeah, the massive headache. So,
more of a cake in the neck, honestly.
A little bit. Yeah. No, other than that, we're doing stuff around the land, planting stuff, watering stuff. Things are growing, which is kind of good. Today and yesterday, we got lots of rain, which helps. And I ordered my own little Dice Throne stuff, just to one box set to try out. Went with the Pyromancer versus, what was it, the Thief, Shadow Thief.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
So that'll be fun. I'd like to try that. Maybe once our favorite gaming ho comes over, we'll be able to play that a couple times.
Right. He sure will.
Yep.
That's for everybody. That's Daryl, by the way.
Yes, my friend.
Excellent.
But other than that, we're doing pretty good. How about you, Tony?
Well, for once in my life, and for once in the recording of our show, I have not just work to say. Actually, I've had some days off recently and spent them all with the missus.
Woohoo.
Two of us together, just kind of rekindling the spark, so to speak, of hanging out together. We've been locked in, shut down together, and just kind of going through the motions. And now we're both vaccinated and able to get out and about and to do the things we love to do, and starting to get out and do that. So we went out, and like last weekend we went and saw A Quiet Place 2 at the movie theater. And this weekend we did a bunch of yard work together, but doing it together made it a lot easier.
Definitely makes a difference.
We had some friends over Friday night for drinks, and all in all, it was just a good time this weekend.
Becoming a little more of a normal world again. Still never really going to be the same, but it's feels a little more normal.
Yeah, it's
back to
good.
normal at least. Yeah,
good. It felt good to put the hat of normality back on.
Yep.
So, and not have to work. So that was the plus sign right there for me.
Oh, there it is. It's always a plus.
Triumph.
Yeah, you did.
Well, we got a show for you guys. We are going to talk about just the final two tones that the Genesys gives us in the Expanded Player's Guide. And the name of our show, episode 85, is it Ocean's 15 or The Case of the Maltese Chicken?
Or is it the Canadian blowjob? I mean, it could have been like the Italian job, but the Italian blowjob. You got to blow up a safe. You got to blow up a wall.
I did not expect that one from you, homie.
You didn't? Did you,
Perhaps
Stefan?
it is the French-Canadian blowjob.
Hey, that's when you have to blow up a safe, or you got to blow up a wall, right, to kind of get into a place. Very technical.
You have to blow something, my darling. Yes.
It's the world's most secure sugar shack.
Yep.
That's what you're trying to get into.
Sure.
Well, you have to get the golden maple syrup out of it.
Very nice. All right.
Anyways.
So unless we want to sit here and giggle and laugh all night, we probably should get on with the rest of the show.
I guess.
Well, okay, so here we are at Boosting the Signal, where Stefan shares all of the hot Genesys news from the Edge Studio section of the DT RPG. What you got for us tonight there, Stefan?
All right, so tonight, keeping in line with the theme of the show the heist that we'll be talking about, we'll be talking about a couple of tones from the EPG. I'm boosting signal from Studio 404 on Drive-Thru RPG. They came out with a little while ago a supplement called Legwork and Larceny, which these are the people who came out with Mechasis, which I boosted a couple of episodes ago. We're talking about settings. It's all about mechs, or sort of if you want to include big giant robots, they have a supplement for that. But they also worked on this. So this adds and expands upon the heist theme that we'll be talking about a little later in the books of Genesys. Whereas APG describes the heist in more general terms, it's only a couple of pages. Legurk and Larceny goes into a bit more detail. It breaks down the various steps, introducing new aspects and mechanics, which don't have to worry, they're not overly complex. They offer some ideas and suggestions, but they still go over the 4 basic steps as well, that we'll be mentioning later. But also mention examples. For example, the complexity of the job. Is this heist like just something that would be a little side job during the session, or is it just maybe an encounter, real quick? Maybe, for example, try to get the contents of a locker in a train station, without being seen, or something like that. Or will it take an entire session because it's a major plot point of the campaign, or maybe multiple sessions. So they go a bit over that. They talk about traps and obstacles and whether they are passive, active, deadly, or not. And they have a table with ideas for that, which can help jog some your imagination. Suggestions for how to spend advantage and triumph. A useful table, except for the complexity, also covers not just how important it is, but the number of obstacles that they suggest could be in the way.
How that's a nice table, actually. I like that table.
Yeah. And they introduce how many threats are needed to invoke hitches, and how many hitches can be in the heist, depending how complex it is. So, like a little side job, they suggest maybe just 3 hitches, whereas something really, really complex, complexity 5 for an entire session at least, might have up to 15. Now, his hitches are the kind of new mechanic, one of the new mechanics they introduce as a way to keep things a little bit unpredictable without becoming adversarial, because that's one of the things they talk about. You don't want the GM to just throw some things around because he's trying to stop you from achieving the heist. Just making more, just like a movie, just making it interesting, as opposed. So it's a little bit different than Heat, which kind of covers what may happen after the job. Once whether the players succeed or not, and then so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, they've got a table here. How you can spend hitches, like you could spend a couple of hitches to upgrade a passive obstacle to an active one. So that's kind of pretty cool.
That's it. Yeah, and how many of those hitches does it cost? Let's say for three hitches, you upgrade the difficulty one, or for 5, upgrade a lethal obstacle to a minor combat encounter. So can be quite cool, with examples of how something can be lethal, or if it's a trap, if it's passive or not.
Yep, and then if you spend 10 hitches, you can invoke the GM being a dick hitch, which is what they're looking for has been moved off site.
Yeah,
not even there.
Yeah, they talk about the MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is a fake, or has been moved off site. So.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yep. So they have some cool examples there. And then some traps. I like some of the traps because, let's say rope snare. It's not a really deadly trap, but it's in snare 4. It has a crit rating of despair. So you can only activate a crit on a despair. Maybe the rope goes around your neck instead of your ankle. So that could be deadly.
Nice knockout darts.
Yeah, awesome. That's it. And then they also talk about running the heist, the legwork parts of it, how to spend advantage and triumphs there, infiltration phase, etc. And then part 2, the heist mechanics. They talk a little bit about the story pool, how to use story pool a little differently. for the GM anyway. For example, it allows the GM to spend up to 3 points in one shot. So for 1 point, you can move, let's say, a passive obstacle becomes active. For 2, in a combat or chase encounter, add a rival. For 3 story points, security continues to chase the PCs after they leave the premises. And then finally, it's the what I kind of like is the a new talent called the flashback. So if characters haven't taken they didn't do the legwork for a certain aspect of the heist, because maybe they find out in game that there's actually some magical defenses in this heist. They could, with this talent, use alchemy, as long as they have at least 2 ranks in it, to initiate a flashback. And how you explain that, depends on the players and GM. How actually, even though they didn't do the legwork part of it, this allows them to retcon kind of the situation. Oh no, I did actually do this. It was kind of off screen that I went to this guy who might know, and he offered me this like magical elixir that will render me intangible. I can bypass these wards or whatever. So that's kind of cool. So you can have a character with that flashback talent. And they give examples, of course, what kind of flashbacks, whether it's because of a contact. You have countermeasures. Your character has devised a plan or device to deal with a certain type of obstacle, even though it wasn't discussed beforehand, or they didn't find out any information beforehand, or gear, or physical access, or a stakeout, or they tracked someone. So yeah, cool. It does help. It can help a little bit more to flesh out the details. So you just need a little piece of paper to generate or take note how many successes they may have generated, how many hitches, and then of course you can link that up with the heat afterwards. So yeah, as Chris mentioned, it's available on Drive-Thru RPG. So we'll include the link in the show notes, and you get all of that, 9 pages for $2.95.
Wow,
not too bad.
That
looks good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So it has the great Genesys type layout for it. So very good.
For 9 pages, granted, the first page is obviously the cover page. The second page is the what do you call it? Is the credits and stuff. But you got 7 pages here of lots of good stuff. You really do.
Yeah. Clearly.
A lot of useful stuff.
Definitely. So there you go. That was all the hot news I had for boosting the signal. I hope that helps Brett Bowen and the guys. He's the main guy who worked on this particular project and at 404 or Studio 404, and I hope that helps them. Check it out.
All right, welcome to the Books of Genesys. This is where we break down one section of the Books of Genesys bit by bit, and this time we'll be exploring the additional tones provided in the EPG, pages 109 through 112 in the physical book. Those new tones are the Heist tone and Noir tone.
Yeah.
However, we should probably go into what exactly these tones are, because, why do they have to tell us how to run our games so much? Gosh,
I know, Tony. Jeez. Well, what tones are? Where settings let us know what the era, location, technology, what planet you might be on, or or whatever, what you're playing in, I see tones as being the texture of that setting, right? What it feels like, what the attitude of the NPCs have. When I say, hey, we're gonna run a game, and we're gonna run a fantasy game. We're gonna run a fantasy RPG game and this generic world. I don't know. What kind do we want? Do we want to do Eberron, or do you want me to run you in Barovia? What does that do for you?
I don't even know what that means.
All right. Well, Eberron is a pulpy setting.
Oh.
Barovia is a horror setting. So there.
Horror fantasy?
Horror fantasy, man, where everything's dark and gritty and everybody's like walking around goth looking, closing their doors when you walk into their town. And
can I play Hugh Jackman Vampire Hunter?
Absolutely. Why not? Only if Stefan plays Kate Beckinsale, sister to a werewolf, right?
Yeah.
Hotter Gypsy Princess.
Gypsy Princess, baby.
Are you stereotyping me that if I can play a trampy woman?
Oh, sorry, that would be Daryl. Sorry, Daryl would be playing a trampy woman. No. So there's that, but then Eberron, you think of pulpy, right? You think action-packed. Maybe I'm swinging from an airship to, my villains will be monologuing, a little more tongue-in-cheek, maybe, if you want to run the game kind of that way.
Yeah.
That's what tones do. They give that texture for you.
That's good. Like a sci-fi setting, Aliens is a horror, has a horror tone, whereas Star Wars has more of a space opera.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And all this is covered in the core rulebook, and we've covered it in a previous episode. The original tones that they gave us was on page 241 of the core rulebook, and a description of what those tones are and how they help you describe your game. First, to get players to play the game, and second, it helps inform you as a GM what elements to add to the adventures that you're writing. When you're writing a horror game, you're not going to write it with a bunch of comedy puzzles. Right. And when you're writing a pulp game, you're certainly not going to include oppressive, dark lighting in your descriptions of everything.
Right. You may set one more at like maybe nighttime, things happen more at night, that kind of stuff. Now you can also combine.
Yes.
You can do a romance horror.
And
one
some
of my
favorite share elements.
Uh-huh. Yeah. One of my favorite romance horror movies that I would think would make a great setting is Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. That's a great freaking movie, man. I loved it. I think it's great. You have a classic romance, but it's a great zombie movie. Kind of is.
With some kung fu action.
Oh, hell yeah. Those chicks kick ass. They do.
It's a really good movie, actually. Yeah,
I do. I like it. It's a classic.
But tonight we're covering the heist, first of all. Mm-hmm. And that's in the EPG on page, what's that, 109?
109.
109. 110 if you're in the PDF, by the way.
Right.
Like me.
So we get into first, why use the heist tone? Well, I mean, who wants to do a heist? Come on. Who would love to steal everything in somebody's house, or a Maltese chicken, or whatever else? I mean,
or Arkansas, or
come on.
Why would you want to do that? Hey, my like lawful good paladin, I totally would not want to go do a Canadian job, right? I mean, we probably wouldn't want that. No, he'd probably go to, he probably would go to like a corrupt lord's house though, and go steal that like evil artifact he may have, right?
And that's just it. It doesn't have to be, a bunch of criminals performing a crime. It could be good guys stealing something away from the bad guy. But what we're used to, and I'm sure those of us who've been playing for 30 odd years could tell you, is that murder hobo players, they want to steal everything. They want everybody else's stuff.
That's
Well,
right.
a twist on the heist. You could have a rescue. The MacGuffin, the treasure, could be, a princess or prince who's been kidnapped and get prisoner. You have to get in, rescue them, and get out. That's a heist.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, I've been binge watching Leverage. And I'm telling you, a heist / con, very similar. You're kind of running a con as well, which is a pretty fun thing to do,
The movies with the various illusionists, Now You See Me, those are heists.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
and there's lots of inspiration out there. As I said at the top of the show, those Oceans movies, 11, 12, 13, and 8, I think is...
Ocean's 8, I think that was with the women. I think, That was
11, 12, 13, and then 8.
Mm-hmm.
All them. You've got The Italian Job. You've got, Snatch. You've got
the original Italian Job as well.
Yeah.
The Great Train Robbery. That's a classic.
I'm still waiting for Ocean 69.
Of course you are. You're probably going to start pitching the Canadian Blowjob too to some theater.
Oh yeah.
Start writing that up, aren't you?
You do a one shot of that.
But there is a ton of inspiration out there. That's what I'm saying.
There is.
Yeah.
And it could be done in all kinds of different settings: modern, futuristic, urban, even fantasy and Weird War settings. You can do a heist. There wasn't there one in like a Weird War setting where they were doing an art heist.
Trying to rescue some pieces of artwork from the Germans.
It was just a regular World War II movie, but they were rescuing art.
Yep.
And
there was even a modern day one. Wasn't Three Kings the modern one? Wasn't that a modern day heist?
That was a heist in the Afghan War.
Afghan War, yeah, the Gulf War, right?
Yeah.
Didn't that have like Mark Wahlberg, George Clooney, and somebody else in it? I think that was I don't know. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So you can fit a heist in all kinds of settings and genres.
Yes, and there's, heists kind of have a lot of moving parts, so you have to break them down. And that's what that Legwork and Larceny document did, is broke down the 4 parts of a heist. Now, they all have themes, but we have these 4 parts, and we'll go into what they are, and we'll start with the first one, which I guess, one of you wants to take it. Planning the job.
Yeah. So before you start, you plan out what you have to do. So the first phase of any heist, it's a planning one. So here the characters, of course, designate what the target is. They make all their plans and discuss how to maybe bypass all the complications that could be, whether it's traps or guards or whatever else. It focuses a lot on role playing, but there still can be some checks, of course, as if there's any social encounters that could be set up here, and then story points they suggest can be used to identify threats, reach out to contacts, plot escape routes, or set them up for the next phase, which is doing the legwork.
That's right. You want to take that, Tony, or you want me to?
Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Yeah. So you got your plans made. Now you got to hit the streets. Now you got to pull it all together. You case your target. You gather up your special equipment if you want. If you need to get that tow truck that you need to pull into the, back of the, warehouse or something like that. You might generate heat though, which, negative effects on those things. Yeah, that truck might have a GPS tracker on it, which may later on could come back to haunt you. In later phases or whatever, but this is the phase where you would start generating some of that heat, which we'll get into. That's kind of one of the new rules here. You'll spread some bribes around too, to kind of gather up this information. get your fake IDs, gather up your disguises.
Yeah, it's also where some of those hitches might be generated too for the players if you're using the legwork and larceny.
The legwork and larceny. Yep.
Any threats or despairs that the characters generate? Oops, there you go. Here's a couple of hitches, a couple of hitch points.
Yeah. So then once all the legwork is done, what's next, Tony?
Oh, pull that trigger.
Pew pew.
Yeah. This is, as they say, this is where the rubber meets the road. When you're doing your Fast and Furious heist here. Once all the planning and legwork is done, once those two things are done, it's time for the characters to execute their plan and see whether or not all that preparation has paid off.
Well, it could be a pain in the ass. I mean, it really could be. I mean, come on. We've spent 3 hours planning. That could be.
Especially if the GM spends all 10 hitch points.
And honestly, I mean, if you want to break it down into mechanics, your first two, planning the job and the legwork, can be done with just a few checks, or you can do them as a skill challenge, individually or together.
Yeah, I know. When you've run our Star Wars games and we've had to do our quote unquote heists and heist similar jobs like a heist, you've had us do skill checks.
Yes.
Which is a skill challenge, which is great. And
it kind of doing it that way also combines the planning with the doing the legwork and fleshes out. You could do it in it's not designed to be done in a specific order.
Yeah, it's not linear. Right.
But the pulling the trigger is usually done as an encounter, either social or combat encounter. And it can start in a non-combat situation, but then it usually breaks into a combat encounter almost always at some point. And then,
like the round 0.
Yeah.
Like combat encounter, which is i.e. our social encounters, right?
right.
Communications break down.
Well,
but this is where the meat and potatoes of your heist occurs, and you want it to have that tension. So running it as a structured encounter, whether it be a magical structured encounter, in say Shadow of the Beanstalk, it be a hacking encounter, or in any game being a combat encounter, you'll really want to kind of run your pulling the trigger as a structured encounter to heighten the tension.
Right, with rounds, and so everybody, can make those stealth checks or the computer's checks as they're moving through the computer or whatever. Yeah,
and all that stuff that they did before pays off in the, oh hey, you successfully paid off those 2 guards, and lo and behold, the entrance that they were at is unguarded, and you can just kind of sneak in. All you need is a simple stealth check instead of a daunting stealth check. Now it's easy.
Yeah. Now, as a DM, GM, DM, whatever, regardless, it's really hard to know what the hell your players are going to plan, how they're going to plan it, what they're going to come up with. But you can at least have a point A to point B, structure it a little bit, maybe have, like Tony said, okay, if they happen to go this direction and there are guards here, I put guards here. If there are these kinds of checks, these guards won't be at this door, or these guards won't be at this door, or whatever. All right. And just kind of roll with it. Literally roll with it.
And this is also again, if you're using the legwork and larceny, you could activate some of those hitches during it, so a trap becomes more active instead of just passive infrared sensors. Out there might be actual lasers that might cut you up, or
maybe sharks with lasers on their forehead.
Yeah,
that might fuck you up.
That's it. And this is also where the flashback talent could come up if the players come up against something that we didn't plan on that. We didn't plan on having a pressure sensitive thing, where the diamond is resting. How do we defeat that? It's like, oh, wait a minute. I actually planned for this. I actually have a fake plastic diamond that's exactly the same weight.
Now that's if they skip the legwork phase. Now
If
they
yes,
can use
exactly.
that talent. So
Exactly.
yeah, so that's interesting. Them not doing the legwork and using the talent. That's I don't know. That's interesting.
Can be, yeah. Sometimes maybe the players didn't think of every little aspect, but you throw in a little, especially when you know they've got that, at least one person or two has that talent.
Yeah.
Make sure that they're able maybe to use it.
Yep.
If you can throw a little curveball, it's like, oh, wait, I do have something that can help in here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the guard, I actually bribed him, and he knows me, so he'll let us through with our fake ID.
Right on. So there is a fourth element. Now, for GMs, it's a fourth element. Really, that fourth element, no player thinks about that fourth element to the heist. I know mine don't. They're like, we got the thing. It's over.
That's right. It's over. Awesome. Oh, wait a minute.
Roll the credits.
We have it in our hand. How the fuck do we get out of here? That's basically the thing.
What's the last one, Stefan?
It's getting away with it. So, did the characters actually manage to skip out of the place without being detected or caught? You know, did they get the shipment of gold or that sensitive, incriminating data? Great. Now, this is where you determine what are they going to do with it. Did they make a plan for how to fence it or otherwise profit from it? If they did it on their own, for example, if they didn't have an employer, well, how do we get rid of it, or how do we liquidate these diamonds?
Right.
And then,
or
of course,
the Jewel of Yavin. I do remember there was a team of 3 that just stole the fucking thing and the money, and they just left.
Yep.
Maybe someday that might come. Maybe they'll go to a fence that maybe Tony might play, or somebody might play in the future. What?
Nothing like that will ever happen. What could possibly go wrong?
How do we sell the diamonds? What?
That's it. So this is where sometimes you can also insert the elements of heat. Maybe that's other bad guys got in on it. They heard about it, and they want the MacGuffin now.
Right. And this is where as they're driving away, do they know that there was a GPS tracker on that truck? Well, they got during the legwork phase.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things. Yeah.
Exactly. So paragraph keeps going on. Says, successfully pulling off a heist isn't necessarily the end of the story. There's always fallout, even in the best of situations. Someone's going to be angry, whether it's the employer who got screwed out of the Jewel of Yavin, or the actual owner of the Jewel of Yavin, going, "Hey, someone stole this from me," looking for payback.
What? The target? No, they won't worry. They're like, whatever. I got something got stolen from me. They'll forget about it, right?
Yeah, I've got insurance. So yeah, the players might have to lay low for a while, or just skip to a different part of the galaxy, far, far away.
There you go.
And what's next, Tony? After all these 4 steps in the tone?
Well, they go into this new rule. So they of course, with each tone, they kind of add a suggestion for a new rule. And of course, the new rules that are in Legwork and Larceny just compound upon this. And I like all of them, to be honest with you. But this one here kind of, this one really encompasses the heist. Because the one thing you're trying with any heist, the Gone in 60 Seconds, or your Maverick Western story where you're, trying to rob a casino, riverboat.
Another great movie, by the way.
You are trying not to get attention while doing. So this new rule is called Heat. During the planning and leadwork stages, particularly unlucky crews can generate heat. And heat is a measure of how much attention the characters draw upon themselves while going through the business of planning their heist and executing the legwork. The attention can come from law, from the intended target, from another crew of thieves, or from anywhere you feel might make narrative sense as a GM. And it's an interesting mechanic. Homie, you want to explain it?
Yeah. All right. So this mechanic is they can generate heat on unlucky rolls. So during the planning and legwork phases, when they're making those skill checks, when they generate a despair on a skill check, you can, as a GM, give them 1 point of heat when they when they have a despair, when that comes up. And then their life will become increasingly more difficult, and their luck will start to run out, and their plans will start to unravel. And then there are a couple of different ways as the heist progresses for you to spend that heat on them. One way is you can burn the characters, or you can have them attract the wrong kind of attention. So, what's the first kind? What does getting burned with heat mean?
Well, to describe characters with heat, find out real quick that word travels fast when you're in trouble. So contacts become scarce. They want more for their services. If you need that particularly sensitive or plans of the building, that could cause some problems to get it. Family and friends can keep them at arm's length because they don't want to get into trouble either, etc. So to reflect these extra complications, you may spend a PC's heat whenever they make a check. So for each point of heat spent, upgrade the difficulty on the check once. So you may not upgrade a single check more than 3 times using heat. So maximum of 3 points. But still, that's three upgrades without story points. Just flip them with these heat points.
Yeah, so you're basically banking the despairs that they've rolled in those first couple stages. That's effectively what heat is doing for you. Just so codifying it and a way to track it.
That's it.
Something.
They do give some examples. Do you want to take the next paragraph, Tony?
Sure. Are you talking about the examples of how to spend the heat?
Well, yeah. Then they go results of spending heat.
Right on.
Some of the results.
So, if your characters have generated heat, they're drawing attention, like said. And what kind of attention is really up to you as a GM. But they have suggestions here on how to spend them to keep it proportionate to the amount. And that's like if you're spending 1 heat, a couple of cops in a squad car cruise by to check for suspicious behavior. They're not specifically looking, but maybe someone called in seeing suspicious activity. Or your character's credit card gets flagged for suspicious activity. God damn, I can't say that word. But either way, I mean, it's just the tiniest little bit, and it ranges. 1 heat, 2 heat. It goes up all the way to 5. Right. And we're not going to get into each individual one, but
spending
5.
spending those 3 heat, like if you want to spend like all 3 on like a check, that's when the cops are like actively looking for them. Their bank accounts are frozen, just to kind of give you a level, right? That's like some serious stuff. You're like, oh crap.
5 is like the federal government's called in. Corporate assassins have been dispatched on your trail. All your assets are seized. Your entire family has been kidnapped. Your name is plastered all over news media. Those kinds of things. That's 5 being spent at once. And if you generated 5 despairs as an individual in your
even as a group, right?
As an individual, though. God,
even as an individual, dude.
You're definitely playing. It's definitely Daryl is playing with you. If
That would be, yeah.
Despair Daryl? Yeah.
You definitely don't want Daryl to be part of your team. No, one of his characters.
but the heat isn't permanent.
Nope.
It does something at the end there, homie. What's it do?
Well, I mean, heat can, yeah, I mean, it can cool off. I mean, you can jump in an ice bath, right? And you can cool off. But with this, you would want to kind of, work it off in some way. You may want to, you might know a crooked judge who may clear the record for you, there might be a favor that you could use to maybe cool off, to let the heat cool off, or work it off in some way, or maybe just kind of lay low for a while, right?
Yeah.
More than anything, I think laying low would probably be your best bet for that cool. But what do you do until then, right?
You could owe like a big favor if it's if you have lots of heat. So if you're using the Shadow of the Beanstalk favor mechanism, that's a great way to use that as well. And if you do have a character like or a player like Daryl, you make him the scapegoat. So even if he generates, go, you attract all the attention. That's what your job is. So you're not actually going to in the building to retrieve the diamond. No. You're just outside as a distraction.
Nice.
Act suspicious, please. Yes, here's a dark trench coat, and
right. And then there is a sidebar here on page 111.
It's important.
It is very important. That says the limits of heat. So you just got to keep in mind that this heat, it's more of like the general static view of kind of what's going on in the heist, what's kind of going on. But I don't know, there's some things where you do like completely illegal that like heat, it just really doesn't matter where you got heat. If you like shoot somebody in the face, wipe out a corporate hit squad, getting in a shootout outside of that bank, right, with the cops, yeah, whatever. It doesn't throw heat out the window. Yeah, you guys are screwed. You guys are fucked, right? I mean,
it's a
true
different
story.
type of
there's
encounter.
appropriate level of
response.
trouble. Yeah,
True story. Game from the past here. I ran a heist way back when in the cyberpunk setting with Cyberpunk 2020, and I was kind of using a similar mechanic. When they would roll and they'd have a failed check, I would add a complication that was very similar to adding heat in their legwork. And they did all that and everything, and they had their heist planned, and they went on their heist, and one of the characters had an extreme hatred for cops. It was part of his thing.
Oh, no.
He was an ex-cop who got run out by crooked cops, so he had an extreme hatred for cops. And one of the other guys had rolled some failure. And so while the one dude was just supposed to be hanging out at a pizza shop across the way eating pizza as a lookout.
Is that the guy that hated cops?
That's the guy that hated cops.
Oh,
a police car pulled up between him and the place they were supposed to be robbing and parked in front of him.
Oh,
so he couldn't see.
What a great dick GM would do. I'm so proud, Tony. I'm so proud.
So
of
he proceeded to go out, walked right out into not broad daylight. It was cyberpunk, so it was at night. It was raining. But he walks right out there, knocks on the cop's window with a cigarette, like, I need a light. And the cop rolls the window down, and he shoots him point blank in the head.
What the hell?
And from there, the whole thing is like, okay, I don't care how many failures you guys rolled before, this just kicked it off.
Well, yeah.
Because, of course, the cop's wearing a heart monitor, and he had a helmet cam that caught the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's what I mean by, the limit that surpassed the limit of the heat mechanic. And certainly that was where the whole thing just kicked off. And They all
Right.
ended up in prison smocks at the end of it all, I think, but it was fun.
That is great. Oh.
Yeah, because and that kind of reminds me a little bit like they mentioned in like work in larceny not to become adversarial as a GM, but I think keeping this in mind and maybe even working with the players when they generate despairs or failures and stuff, work with them. Maybe they can have some great ideas on how to complicate their own heist.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if they don't want to work
Yeah.
with you, pay attention to their
Yeah.
motivations is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Because this
I
is
think
this,
so.
this whole thing was from me just watching, okay, this guy has a hatred of cops, so I'll put one right between him and the, you know,
Mhm.
and of course he reacted like any player would, playing his character to the hilt.
Yeah.
And I loved it. It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah,
It
pull on
added
those
an element.
flaws. Yeah, make sure you know the flaws and the fears of the PCs, and
Or even their
make a note of
desires
them.
and strengths too.
Desires
because,
and strengths too.
Because
You-
those
you-
can be used against them too.
well,
Well,
that's
that's it.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the desire is fame, it's like, but a heist, you're not supposed to be famous, ideally. But if they want to be famous, it's like,
Hey, no,
Well,
baby. No,
now
you
the
bring the
camera's
camera
on me.
crews. That's right. Camera crews are there. You got it.
Well, now that they're here,
If it's
let's make the
futuristic,
best of it.
right? Like futuristic, that's good. Something like that,
you always have
Modern
camera drones
review.
all over the place.
right?
But if you
Depending
do
on
all
the-
this and you do it right, running a one shot particularly, or even as part of a larger campaign,
Oh, absolutely.
really can run a heist toned evening of just fun.
Yes.
And again, Shadow the Beanstalk is great for it.
Yeah.
But you can run any. The great thing about Genesys is you can run any setting.
Oh yeah, yeah. You could do this
Oh.
in any setting.
Well, that's it.
Now-
Now, heist, like we said before, it can be in any setting. Even a dungeon crawl is a kind of heist in a way in many dungeon crawls.
Right on. Now moving on to Noir.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, Noir has not so much of a list of things that it's about, but more of a list of things the way it feels.
Yes. It was
it's
dark and stormy.
Definitely about the feel of a noir tone.
There's
And,
also an attitude there for some of the NPCs, an attitude you can have, and an expectation for things, too.
And there's elements to it that are key as a GM that we'll get into here. So, but first of all, I just want to say that Noir is it's part attitude, it's part atmosphere. It has similar traits to the pulp tone. We talked about pulp before. Chris was talking about it earlier with Eberron. But those elements, instead of the pulp being, high action, this is more dark. It's more gritty. It's more cynical. It fits the hard-boiled crime stories of, like you said, it's a dark and stormy night.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
1920s. It reminds me of there's a couple of little cartoons of Calvin and Hobbes, where the cartoonist,
Oh yeah.
where Calvin pretends to be like a noir detective, and he has a
Right.
great line sometimes where he says, for example, the dame wanted to start talking about philosophy, so I pulled out a friend of mine who's close to my heart, actually a little bit to the left and close to my heart, which is his gun. He made 3 eloquent statements. Bang, bam, bam. And I left the room. I always leave the room when the talk gets philosophical.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
A lot of the films that came out of Hollywood
Mhm.
in the first half of the 20th century were noir stories. Your Case of the Maltese Falcon, your Dick Tracy, just about every Humphrey Bogart film
Yeah.
done in the 30s,
Casablanca.
40s.
Yeah.
That
That Perry Mason show I was just telling you guys about on HBO Max. That's set in the 30s.
Yeah.
And that's
And
where
I'll tell you the important word, I think. You have the dark and gritty, but the cynicism. It's cynical. That's a very important word and theme and tone that gets lost, I think, in this noir.
A key word to use as a GM and a key element to use in this tone, and I'll get into it in a bit, but it's the word, and the element is betrayal. There will be, instead of twists, there will be betrayals throughout your story. And
things are never what they seem.
You're
I'm
max
sorry,
headroom,
Stefan.
dude.
Yeah,
A little bit.
what was that? Repeat it.
Yeah, say it one more time, Stefan.
Sorry, I said that nothing is what it seems. Even the lovely dame that hires you, she turns out to be in league with one of the main bad guys. So innocent after all.
Gotcha. Yeah. So why do we want to use noir? I mean, it sounds dark. It sounds cynical. It sounds like you're going to get betrayed. Who wants to play in that kind of story?
Well, it's instantly recognizable. It's familiar. And you can say, hey, do you want to play in this? And people will go like, nah, not so much. And you'll know right away whether people will be interested in it or not. That's one way.
But
the
if
other
you've got
way,
a small group, I think it's best in small groups.
Yeah.
And you want to make someone who doesn't normally get the spotlight the center of the story. A great way to entice that player is to say your character's going to be central. If you make a character that is the protagonist, and then the other guys make your cohorts, you're going to get spotlight.
Yeah.
Whether, if there's someone who wants it and doesn't normally get it, that's a great chance to give them, for a one shot, this is all about you as a player.
That's right. Another reason why to use noir is if you want to run that dark and gritty game, tough realism for a night or whatever, one shot. That's another reason why you want to run it too. Yeah, and this last sentence here under the why thing, I like that. It says like using the noir elements imparts a certain amount of danger and dread wrapped into the dim lighting of a tough place to visit or live.
Yeah.
And that tough place to visit or live is key as well. In a noir too.
But my favorite series of novels, the Dresden Files, is pretty much almost every novel is a kind of noir story. A little bit different theme, but you got the main character. He's hired for something, or he's told to do something, or he has to do something. He's oftentimes in the dark. People are tell him one thing, he finds out it's totally different. Even one story where he seems to be hired just to protect some people from a curse. Seems to be straightforward. He finds out all kinds of plot twists, and it's hilarious because the premise is he's hired to protect the people around this movie producer, and he's a movie producer of adult films. So of course, some people around him are getting killed, and he wants to protect them. So he has to pretend to be a stagehand on an adult film studio. All that kind of situations, but again, the betrayals, the intrigue, finding out that the bad guy is actually not the bad guy that he thought initially; it's the other person. So it's a great series of novels if you want some ideas there as well for noir, even though it's not always in a rainy, dark city like Sin City. It's in Chicago. It mixes, magic and supernatural stuff in modern day Chicago.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, those are great books. And exactly, they fit the noir tone perfectly. I've read some of them myself. So, Steph, you want to get into the rest of the themes in noir, because there's more to it than just dark and stormy night.
Well, exactly. Well, the themes in noir, as they say, so crime stories are the most typical ones. So variations on the murders, the kidnapping, thefts, and gangs are common. So it fits very well into some pulp and mystery tones as well. So you can combine them. So a noir, pulpy setting, Eberron and noir. So you could have a little bit of noir situation in Eberron, for example. So you don't, you don't need to adhere to every little stereotype or trope. It's nice to include enough of them to sell the setting. So like the damsel in distress and the ugly goon and so forth. Otherwise, like they say, you might as well select another tone. So private detectives, police officers, government agents with who are tough and self-destructive, who are self-destructive vices are common elements. Anti-heroes, though not necessarily a detective. The anti-hero could be a surgeon who might let bad people from organized crime die on the operating table, even though he's sworn to save people. Or a parent who will do anything to save their kids, to get them out of the local crime syndicate. Could be even a young member of a crime family who wants to mend their ways and now is working from the inside as an informant. So whatever the background of the anti-hero, the more unlikely let me rephrase that. So whatever their background, your anti-hero will most likely be one of the player characters, and they will, of course, have a central role in the story, like you were mentioning earlier.
Right. That's what I was talking about earlier. So it's going to be one of your players. It's the key to this solving this puzzle.
That's it. The other characters will be there, yes, as assisting and maybe secondary characters, but still important to the story. But it's that one who's the linchpin. So, and another theme is that it's never easy. There's always bad luck. Even the lucky breaks are mired with unexpected difficulties, and you've got some extremes. No one is just rich. Anyone who appears rich might be faking it, losing their wealth, or about to meet a sudden and dismal end. Dun, dun, dun.
Lottery winner had a heart attack.
And one of the final themes, they say that there's always a clear goal. Rescue someone in distress, recover a stolen item, find a loved one, etc. The goal is easy to see, but the path to it is never simple. There's always twists. There are different levels of betrayal. The rewards sometimes are just basic and hardly life-changing. So, like the story with Harry Dresden, sometimes he manages to save the day, but he doesn't get paid at the end of it. He loses the money, or he just scrapes by and doesn't get locked up in jail, at least. But he's still alive to live another day and still cast spells.
Yeah, that was one thing that kind of stood out to me as I was reading this. I'm like, the rewards are usually basic and hardly life-changing. Like, wow, that's not like I'm gonna find a big pot of gold in the dragon's lair or anything there. It's just,
that's it.
All right, well, I'm gonna get my next meal. Maybe that's the reward. Hey, I'm gonna get my next meal.
Yeah, you get to pay rent. The retainer you got initially by the damsel in distress. That's all the money you got. Fortunately, all the rest of the money.
That's right.
She ended up being the bad guy or part of it and betrayed you, and money's gone. But right. You managed to win the day and lock up the bad boys.
Right on. So how do we as GMs kind of capture this tone? How do we encapsulate it?
Go ahead.
And with a noir themed game, it's all about those background elements as a GM when you're describing everything. Your descriptions. Your weather is always going to be dreary. Mist and fog are unusually common. You're thinking London, the story of Jack the Ripper. You want the story of Jack the Ripper can't be told without London and the foggy, dark nights in the very seedy parts of town where the lights only work in the place where they're going to highlight an event. Those kinds of things.
Some of the Sherlock Holmes movies can be noir.
Of course they are. They're a detective story. But when there's lighting, it's always for dramatic purpose. When there's darkness, it's pervasive. It's in everything. And likewise, when there are bad parts of town, they're always ramshackle and run down. And in contrast, when you have high society, well-to-do people, they're always extravagant. Their vices are extravagant. They're over the top. Their clothes and their mansions and their vehicles, it's all about show because I got to show I have the money.
It's brighter. You may want to mention that it is brighter. There are more lights in here,
Yeah, exactly.
The bright Art Deco club or mansion with lots of marble and gold and satin and stuff, just to contrast the nitty gritty, maybe of the poor section of town where the murder took place.
Right on. And all those things give you that vision in your head of a dark story and kind of drag players into that. So you want to use that as much as possible in your descriptors. Then there's also the type of story that you're going to tell. And that is criminal acts and elements. In the case of your adventure, you're going to spend some time figuring out the crime and the reason for its occurrence. And including the perpetrator's motives and expectations. Long before you ever put this on the table, you'll want to have that stuff. Using the mystery tones found in the Genesys Core rulebook for more ideas on how to set up a detailed mystery will help your noir tone as well. But you figure out how to interconnect and interweave your players' characters into an existing mystery. And that drags them into it. They will likely
a classic way would be the victim is a relative, or something
that
along
damsel
those
in
lines.
distress walked into your office.
Yep.
And that does not have to be. That is a gender neutral term. When I say damsel, it can be a man too that walks into your office in distress.
Yeah.
Most assuredly.
Or a droid with a holographic message.
Exactly.
That's right. Where you might be her only hope, right?
Yes.
Or his only hope.
Mm-hmm.
Or likewise, if your story isn't a mystery, then it's likely the PCs are pursuing a specific item or person, and this can be adding this could be more about adding the theme or the tone to an existing campaign, and you want a noir kind of adventure for a group that doesn't normally go on these types of adventures, and it would be a great change of tone for your game. Then you'll want to you want to have them hired by somebody else, and or maybe they're doing it for money or favors on their own, or maybe they're being blackmailed. But the reason for their pursuit has to be kind of genuine and upfront. But anyhow, of course, any clue or dialogue that could be a red herring is important too. So when you're doing social encounters or revealing clues throughout here, you want to throw in a few just non sequitur lines that your players are going to snap onto and follow this little information trail into nothingness, because if they follow it to a dead end, that kind of reinforces that bleak crap. We wasted all this energy.
That's right.
Going down that dead end, and makes them. It kind of gives them that sense of this just so much harder than it needs to be. That gives it that noir tone. And then likewise, NPCs should have a reason for betraying the players. A betrayal should be there. They happen often, and they should have a reason for it. And sometimes that reason is one that the players may actually sympathize with. A great way to really give them a dynamic NPC that they love, and have that NPC betray them for reasons that they agree with. And it really pulls them in multiple directions and tugs on that noir theme again of betrayal.
Yeah,
got anything else to add, guys, to that you want to add, maybe?
I just thought of, while you were talking, a noir film that's in a way noir, but kind of turned on its head, where, of course, the femme fatale is gorgeous. The bad guys look nasty. The hero, the detective, has all these flaws and tolerances, and the person who's kind of in the middle of it, who hires the detective, is kind of clueless, is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I knew you were going to say that. I was going to say, is it Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, that's kind of noir.
She's not beautiful. She's just drawn that way.
No, she's not naughty. No? She's just drawn. She's not bad. She's just drawn that way. That's
sorry. That's right.
That's right.
It is. It has many noir elements. You think the bad guy is one person, and it turns out to be a totally different character.
Sorry, Stefan. You went all headroom again.
You went max headroom a little bit on there.
I heard pleasure bourbon.
That's right. The Canadian hamsters. You need to feed your Canadian hamsters way out there. One thing I wanted to add was, again, they do mention it here, kind of at the end here, about those major characters, man, being cynical of the situations that you're in, and just have those. Maybe if you have some of those like quotes or something, kind of come up with, if you can, just some cynical things that they could say, kind of pull on the negative sides of the thing to remind your PCs, just how shitty the world is. And you're like, oh man, it's not so bad, but yeah, it kind of is.
Like Calvin's character, Tracer Bullet. He talks about, I got 2 magnums in my drawer. One of them I keep loaded. The other one keeps me loaded.
Wow. Nice. Nice.
All right, homie, as we did last time, we're going to let you pluck out the new rule. So what's the new rule they give us here, bud?
Oh, this new rule. I like this new rule. This is the internal monologue that everybody talks about. You've got it typically, it's narrated by the main character. It's a dark, dreary night like it always is, but it's getting brightened up a little bit when she walked in. She was dressed in red. She looked like a cartoon. She was bad, but she was just drawn that way. Those kinds of things, right? You kind of have the internal monologue going. You want to say that to yours. But the thing is, there's a mechanic that they've attached to it, which is great.
Yeah, so legs. She had legs that didn't quit. And
Exactly. So once per encounter, a player may narrate their PC's internal monologue to reveal to the GM and to the group what their PC is currently thinking, what their plan of action is for the remainder of the encounter, and what the reasoning behind their action is. If they do it, they'll heal 3 strain, up to 3 strain to what they're suffering. So it's like you could go into, it's like, all right, here we go. I'm gonna do my internal monologue, and my character's basically thinking, all right, so we're in this dark alley, and my buddies and I just got jumped by these thugs. I know they want to murder them all, but I think I should probably knock out one of them because we need information. So, it's one of the, you could just kind of go through, and it could just be just like that, right?
But this is also, this is a great mechanic that I think was just hidden, tucked away in this little corner of the book that I could totally see being used in all kinds of different games.
Yes.
When your players, when you as a player are like, hey, I really want to kind of just give this from my player's perspective. And if you have a player that does that, where they just want to go, well, what my player's thinking here, GM, because I hear it from one of my players all the time. Well, what my player's thinking here, or what my character's thinking here. Mm-hmm. I hear that from one of my players all the time. Well, what my character's thinking here. Well, GM, stop them at that moment and go, okay, give me your internal monologue.
Yeah, your voice, your character.
And I will reward you at the end.
Right. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the noir style, but it's like, give me a monologue. What is he telling himself or herself or whatever? I think it's awesome. Monologue. What's the internal monologue going? And if it's 5 different voices and you really need to try and pick one, okay, that'd be great. Whoa. That would be awesome. Whoa. This is truly what they're hearing. They're hearing 4 different voices.
I could see, let's say, in a situation, a character doing the internal monologue, like the sort of sidekick character to Ant-Man. The guy, I forget the actor's name, but he's Hispanic. And when he talks about a situation, all the other characters sort of mouth the words the same way.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it's not. So let's see. So it's not 3 strain they're suffering. It's 4 strain. Bob, by the way,
the heel strain that they're suffering.
I know
4 strain. Sorry.
Oh, nice.
Anyways.
So there you go. So
those are the 2. Is that what we have? Those are the 2 themes. Yeah, that's about all.
Heist and Noir.
Heist and Noir.
And two tones that could be probably combined sometimes once in a while too. Get a dark heist.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can totally do it.
Yep.
Oh yeah. I mean, mystery and noir those kind of go hand in hand, most definitely.
Yeah, and since a thing like the criminal element could be involved, so a heist could be involved in a noir. Things when things go bad, they really go bad.
Yeah, you could do a horror noir. I just watched Penny Dreadful, that series. That's more of a horror noir kind of feel, Victorian age England.
Yeah. Cool. So there you go. That was our segment, the Books of Genesys. If you had any other ideas or comments, we invite them. You can contact us. Please do. If you had any other feedback on if we missed anything, let us know.
All right. So
repeat.
All right. So welcome to Advantageous Threats. This is where we build, roll, narrate results from some sample skill checks for your entertainment and ours, most definitely. Hopefully for your entertainment. Hopefully you all are enjoying these. So we'll get right into it. Our announcer wants to talk because welcome back to day 3 of the Lumberjack Multi-Universe Championship from Zal, everybody. Can the underdog Rain win the next 2 events to pull into the tie going into the Axe Melee, or will Maple, our legacy hatchet, be able to go into the Max Melee knowing he will be the winner of this competition? I don't know about you, Big Joe, but let's get ready to lumberjack! Though I do have one question for our hatchets, if you don't mind. Flapjacks or waffles, and why? Maple.
Oh, I'm particular to French toast, no?
That wasn't one of the answers, but okay.
That's okay.
Be difficult
as it's covered in maple syrup, right?
That is true, and I guess you being from Canadian, you would want French toast. Yes, Rain, question to you. Flapjacks or waffles, and why?
Oh, I prefer the waffles much over the pancakes or the flapjacks, because we make them, instead of squares, we make them in hexagon pieces to remind us of the hive. And then we fill them up with honey.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so we have gone through the first 2 days of the competition here. We've gone through 6 events. The standing block chop, the single buck, the speed climbing, the springboard chop, the double bit axe throw, and we ended yesterday's competition, with the log rolling. And like I said, Maple is leading 4 events to Rain's 2 events, and we're going to start with event number 7, called the underhand chop, where our 2 competitors use a 5-pound single bit axe to chop through a horizontal aspen log that's 12 inches in diameter and 28 inches long, while they stand on top of it, basically chopping down underhandedly. That's why we call it the underhand axe chop. So what we're going to need from you all is a coordination check first to keep your balance on the thing, and then we'll need that melee heavy check to see if you actually chop through the log efficiently or not. And because of the triumphs, or I guess the triumphs and the advantages generated from yesterday's competition, a couple of you have, or I should say, setback dice. One of you has a setback die. Maple has a setback die on his first check here, and Rain does have a free upgrade on his first check of the day. So I'd like you all to make an average coordination check. And we do have 3 story points in the player's pool to start off with.
Good.
So I'll be starting, and I'll be first playing. Okay, so I'm a little worn out from yesterday, but
oh yeah,
I come into this competition as a legacy, and I am going to win it. So I am highly motivated. I'm spending a story point.
Nice.
And that's an average check, you said, correct?
It is average, yes.
All right, so I'm ready. Are you ready? I've got a yellow, a green, purple, black.
Looks good to me.
Whoa, yeah. All right, so I got 1 success, 2 threats, and a triumph.
Ho ho. Oh my. All right.
So, what I'd like to do with my my triumph is I would like to have previously messed with the log that Rain here is going to be standing on, and I may have stuck accidentally splashed a little bit of saw grease on it, and I'm going to upgrade his check.
Oh, so he's going to get an upgrade for the good and an upgrade for the bad. Oh, that's awesome. Now, those 2 threat, though. We are going to put those 2 threat in the...
I would say maybe he feels bad.
What we're going to do.
Cheating a little bit, and could be a setback on his melee check, in his next check.
Yeah, I could. I'm thinking... Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking it might. But actually, I think what we'll do is we'll kind of bank those, and it'll kind of count against your. We'll add those to your advantages that you may generate on your melee, your melee heavy attack, right? To kind of cancel out, just in case maybe somebody saw you do it, and if it comes down to a tie, that might kind of count against you, maybe. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
If you will. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I'll just make a note in my notes here that you do have 2 threat.
Okay.
I'll try and use it that way. This is a new way of me using those threat. Just see if it matters. I don't know.
Sure. We'll wait.
Just because of the way you used your triumph, kind of you're cheating. A legacy cheating. What?
Well, no. It was an accidental splash.
It's accidentally did it on purpose. Yeah, right. Yeah, all right. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Let's see your coordination there.
All right. So I started with 2 yellow and a green. Got an automatic free upgrade, so that makes it 3 yellow.
Yep.
And average with an upgrade from my opponent, of course, so it makes it a red and a purple.
Of course.
All right. So there we go. So and no, I'm not going to spend a story point yet. So I'll just roll the dice. Go for it.
No, he did not succeed.
No successes, but an advantage and a triumph.
Yeah, that little bit of grease, that little bit of saw grease that he put on there is what basically was the difference for you, man. He didn't generate any because there were two failures
on that red dice. So
on that red die, okay. You have
Cancel
an
up.
advantage and a triumph. How would you like to spend those?
Well, one advantage.
So it's coordinating. So this is the coordination check. So your lack of successes, it means you're kind of floundering a little bit. It's hard for you to keep your balance on it right now. But Maple seems pretty steady on the other side. So
yeah. No, maybe could just recover a strain that I've got, but
okay.
One of the ideas that notice a single important point in the ongoing conflict. Maybe I just got an idea that perhaps someone with antlers was responsible for this grease being here, but there's other people with antlers. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure, but I suspect.
Okay. All right.
Part of his. And the triumph, well, I don't know.
Maybe you're falling and maybe you're kind of leaned over in such a way where you're kind of leaning to one end. It kind of gives you a better angle. So it improves your check. So maybe you upgrade your.
I'll get another upgrade. Yeah.
No. Okay.
No. I'll like that. I'll take the upgrade on my next check.
All right, Tony. What is Maple? Let's see your average melee heavy. Now to see.
All right. So this is average. I'm gonna aim.
So
I have the balance to do so. And yeah, what the heck? Here we go. Am I happy with my check? Are you happy, Jim?
I believe so. Can't see it, but that's all good. Oh!
Okay, so my 4 positive dice, 2 negative dice resulted me with 0 successes, 2 advantage. I'm assuming the GM's going to spend my 2 threat previously to cancel my advantage and make it a wash.
It is going to be a wash. Yeah, we will wash those out. Which leaves you with 1 success, a triumph, and 0 advantage for this event now. So
right.
coming through. Let's see if the bug can catch up.
All right. So he's got with his free upgrade now 3 not 3 yellow. 2 yellow and a green. That's his free upgrade. Melee heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually it's 2 yellow with a free upgrade and a green. 2 purple, and I'm going to double. And seeing that his friend, but his rival is floundering a little bit, that may give him a little bit of courage or a little oomph. And he's going to. I'll spend a story point because he's sort of seeing that Maple is having some difficulty there, and that kind of encourages him that maybe he can pull up ahead, hopefully a victory out of this.
Okay.
All right. Ooh.
3 successes,
a threat, and a triumph.
You can lay off the triumph, all right? Jeez, you've had one on every roll.
He has. Holy crap.
There's only 2 out of 2 rolls.
That is true.
I can scroll down and see the previous session there, buddy.
So yeah, though you see Maple kind of getting ready. He's kind of, it looks like Maple was getting into a really good rhythm, and you were kind of, as you were kind of looking over there, you slid a little bit. You noticed the sawdust grease on you're like, oh, only an antler could have done that. Somebody with an antler could have sprayed it that far, and then it just infuriates you. And then you're just seeing these wood chips just go either way, left and right, and you kind of pull just a little bit in one of your knees. So take a strain for that one threat. But what do you like to do with that triumph as you win this event?
A lot of people cheer for the under. He manages to score some really good hits that do a lot of bite deeply into this log. And, he pulls ahead. It discourages a little bit Maple, seeing that maybe he shouldn't have done something like that to his rivals. It wasn't very honorable. So upgrade the difficulty of his next check.
Oh,
conscience. He's getting an attack of conscience.
Yes, they're attacking his conscience.
Because even though Rain was having a little shaky start because he slid and stuff, like still manages to pull through.
Mm-hmm. Puts one of his forearms down and catches himself, right?
And at the end of the competition, of course, says, that was a very valiant try. Congratulations. He extends one of his mandibles to shake. Apparently, this is a custom of people with fingers.
Yeah, you did a very good job. I'm sorry for my careless use of my saw grease.
Oh, was that you? Oh,
it was perhaps an accident on my part.
Oh, okay.
I will be more careful next time.
Very good.
All right.
As he stands on the podium, shaking his mandibles. Yay!
Nice. All right. So then we're going to move on to the next event number 8, called Boom Running. So what this is basically going to be a 2-phase run. It's a head-to-head run across the pond that has like the rolling logs chained together, kind of across the pond to like a competition station. You're going to circle the competition station, then come back across the pond. So going to need 2 coordination checks, one to go that way and the second check to come back. Whoever has the most successes, triumphs, advantages will win this event. And then we'll start with Rain doing the first check here. So the first coordination check. Or you know what? Or you both you know what? Why don't you do this? Build both your pools up. No. Yeah, you do yours, I guess. You know what? Let's do this. Go ahead and do your coordination check, but upgrade it once because I'm going to spend a story point to upgrade you both going out that way.
Oh, okay.
So.
One purple.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
So I've got 1 red, 1 purple, 2 yellow, and a green.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I'm not going to upgrade. I'm just going to go for it. Ooh. No triumph, though, this time.
2 success. Could you spend one of those story? Go ahead and spend one of those story points for me there, Steph, I still can't spend them. So.
Okay,
all right. 2 successes, 2 advantages. Nice.
So maybe making this check on the boom running. He's getting a good rhythm. He'll give himself a boost dice on his next coordination check.
A boost die in his next coordination check. Yeah, your audio's kind of going out a little bit again. So
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so
that's okay.
he gets a good rhythm and gives himself a boost die.
Awesome. All right, Maple.
Were you upgrading my check as well? You said.
Yeah, I was gonna spend both of those story points so you guys have them to spend on your run back for you both. So,
Okay. Well,
average difficulty. So.
All right, so I took care of that for you on that. I am motivated to beat him with long loping strides across
There you go.
the log. So I'm going to upgrade myself.
Nice.
So I'm at 1 yellow, 1 green, 1 red, 1 purple, and here it rolls. 2 failures, 2 advantage.
2 failures, 2 advantage. Okay.
So lots of slipping and sliding on the way out, but maybe I've navigated the course well for the way back, and I'm going to give myself a boost die on the way back.
Sounds good to me. Okay.
Stefan?
All right,
Yes.
Stefan. What do we have for Rain coming back? Second coordination check. So yeah, you guys are coming. Your loping strides you weren't quite get the start that you wanted, but looks like you might be catching up just a little bit.
All right, then there we go. So we've got again 2 yellow, a green, 2 purple, and a blue this time for my passing myself a dice. And I'll spend a story point to upgrade.
Okay.
Okay, so 3 yellow. Are you spending any GM?
I am. I did have one to spend, so I will. There's always that chance of going into the water. I mean, come on now. You're running across a pond.
Yep. All right, so instead a red and a purple. There you
Okay.
go. Woohoo! 6 successes and a threat.
What? Oh my gosh.
Did he just scramble across there on all 6 limbs?
That's pretty much what he did, it would seem. Like a friggin'
Hopping like a dog, like a cricket.
wow. Okay. Yeah, take a strain for going down on all 6. Instead of all 4s, you're down on all 6. Just
Motoring through.
motoring across. Wow, that's nuts. Oh,
All right. I got mine set up, GM. Are you affecting? I am going to be also continuing, like I said, with the really loping strides. So I'll be spending
I'll
player
spend one.
story point.
Yep, I'll spend one. Water, potentially.
All right. So we'll add a yellow and add a purple, or a red, sorry. So I'm at a yellow, green, red, purple, blue.
Okay.
And I was managed to keep up a little bit, but he just went past me, man, with my two successes.
2 successes. Yeah, he smoked you.
For a second there, we were neck and neck, and then he dropped on all 6, and I went, "What the heck?
No, you can do that.
Tabernacle!"
Yeah, you saw a path that was just like perfectly laid out.
Yeah, he did. Wow. Okay then. So that's interesting. Yeah. So we have Rain winning that event as well. So we do have a tie coming into the axe melee, which is whoever survives the axe melee because it's to the death. No.
What?
No, actually, what you all see is after you guys, you kind of finish this up and long strides, Maple comes in going, and Rain is just kind of there, just standing, just not breathing heavy at all, just maybe has his mandible up, waiting for you, as he's waiting, right?
Yeah.
You are very fleet of foot.
Yes, we're very light on our little legs.
But I hope you have the strength to swing your axe when this is all done. Best of luck, my friend.
Yes, you as well.
And then because the axe melee is more of a what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of a climax to the events. So for the rest of the day, this is done in the morning. So for the rest of the day, you guys have, there's lunch and then there's other events. So you have the rest of the day to kind of relax a little bit. So later on in the later afternoon, the axe melee kind of comes about. So what do you guys want to? So then in the afternoon for lunch, do you have like your big, French toast meal?
French toast and sausages.
Well, someone
Bills
mentioned
are up.
waffles. Someone mentioned waffles earlier. I'm looking for some.
So you guys are served waffles and waffles and French toast and sausages, bacon if you want.
Oh, bacon, yes.
It could be Canadian bacon if you want to.
Yeah. So, are you telling us we get to recover strain for our afternoon of resting?
Yeah, if you guys want to recover all strain,
Okay.
recover all wounds. If I gave you any wounds, I don't know if I did or not. But yeah, you guys can recover all your strain. And go into the axe melee
fresh.
recovered, because what happens is with the axe melee, and Tony actually came up with this idea, which is pretty awesome. I actually like this a lot. A boggler from local 404 comes out and kind of sets up a mental construct for the contestants here. And typically what's done at these, for the axe melees, it's typically themed for the planet that the tournament is held on. These axe melees these arenas are set up. So what would this arena look like on Zal there, Stefan? I know you had created this race. What did you have in mind for what this planet looked like?
The boggler from Office 404. His name is Brett Bowen. He he is going to set up the scene as the inside of a large hive.
Okay.
Of termite kind of thing. So there's lots of tunnels, overpasses that are here and there. So what I'm picturing is you guys are kind of on this floor, and if your characters would look up, you would see maybe tunnels going overhead, and maybe tunnels in the walls. Maybe are there any like honeycombs? Maybe where the audiences are sitting in the honeycombs, maybe around. Lots of carved seating all around.
Okay, cool.
Various stalactites with little stone kind of bridges going from one to there. And, even some ramps going up where we could probably even move up and down.
All right, cool. So a little bit of environmental stuff too. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And lightning bugs are floating around, spotlighting us. They're moving around.
Nice. All right. Cool. All right. Well, with this, I don't know if you can add another story point to the pool there. I was thinking giving you guys 2 each, or maybe we remove one. There we go. So it's 2. So one of you could be like the GM, DM.
I'll be the red.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
So there's your story point. So 2 each. Roll initiative. I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do that. We can I guess I can hit start initiative rolls on the table. Yes, everybody, we are using RPG Sessions, the game table on RPG Sessions to do this. So thank you, the folks who've created that. I forgot who created that, but thank you. That's awesome.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
So there
Correct.
we go.
Since we knew this was coming.
Yeah. Well, cool or vigilance, whichever's better. It's okay. Whichever's better for you guys.
hang on then.
He's a PC as well, so it'll both show up as PC, but it doesn't matter. We'll still see who has a great number of successes.
Right.
Yeah, so it looks like Maple will go first because you got 2 successes and an advantage. Rain
There you
got
go.
2 successes. So
That's
all right.
fine. All
well,
right.
let's do that. All
What's
right,
the
Maple.
distance we begin away from each other?
I'm gonna say that that with the axe melee, you're gonna be short range because I'm picturing this being a kind of like an honorable dueling kind of situation where you guys come up, you knock your axes together, you take a step back, and you're pretty much at short range, kind of circling each other, doing what you're doing.
Okay.
There you go.
Da, 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 da,
Da,
da.
da, 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 da.
All right. Do you have any melee defense?
No. Do I? No,
That's
no defense. No defense.
Don't know. Do you?
Okay. Well, on that note, I have 2 yellow, a green, and 2 purple. I'm going to go ahead and start big with a big overhead chop. Try and break his axe when he does his block. I know he's going to do. So
by the way, let me add something there, just a little something, because it's a metal construct. This is you're gonna be hit on your strain instead of wounds, because this is gonna be a non-lethal combat.
Right.
So take wounds. Any damage you take is gonna go against your strain.
Right. All
Instead.
right.
So, okay. Sorry, Tony. Didn't mean that.
No, that's fine. So and we did determine that we have the same similar axes, right? We both have the starting axe, because I don't have anything on a character here for weapons or anything.
No, you guys could just have a normal. I would think just a normal axe.
Yeah,
Okay.
I kind of based it off of an axe, but I call it a mandible. Just
Okay. What's the damage it does? Because I don't have anything on character sheet.
I just have it as a +4 crit 2 and no other qualities.
That works.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. That's perfect.
The brawn +4. Got it.
All right. So maybe 2 rounds worth. It would
All
seem.
right. I spent a my side story point to upgrade my check. Stefan.
All right. Oh yeah, sure. I'll spend one on my side as well.
Okay.
So, just do that.
So you move in. So you spend a maneuver to kind of move into engage range and overhanded chop.
Oh yeah, here it comes. Aha, you're ready for this.
Oh.
So first big swing of the axe, and I just whiff right over his head. Whoosh! Miss with 2 advantages. 2 advantage, I would like that my big swing is in the way. I'll give my opponent a setback die.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. So, yeah. It's much
It's hard to
bigger
get inside
than.
my reach.
Yep.
He did.
Setback dice, and that's average difficulty. All right.
I have no defense.
No defense either. All right. Fair enough.
You guys are
Flannel
hatchets.
vestments do not provide defense.
No.
Well, you don't have
Only soak.
you don't have flannel vestments quite yet. Well, you might have them. Do you?
They're the initiates version.
The initiates version, right?
Stop. Finish. There you go.
Oh yeah,
Oops. Yeah. Sorry about that.
that's good.
okay.
Because you rolled
That's
initiative
okay.
again. Oops. That's
Yeah,
I
why,
see it now. That's why it did it. Oh, okay.
that's why I did initiative melee heavy. Oops.
Yeah.
Burp.
There you go.
All right.
Heavy. I'm going to aim, and of course try to take advantage of his maybe fact that he failed. He overextended maybe a little bit, so I'll spend a story point in my favor to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got 2 yellow, a green, a blue, and 2 purple. Does Maple do
I've
it?
got my antlers low, so I'm gonna provide some defense with those and give you an upgrade.
All right. Fair enough. Come on. There you go. All right, let's go. Let's do it. Oh,
Holy no successes,
Again.
Batman.
The antlers
Long
just
fight.
the antlers deflect my blows. I sort of managed to knock a little bit of a vibration goes down into his skull and give him a setback to him, and give the next friendly character to me, which would be me, a boost.
A boost die. Perfect. That's
Yes.
good. 3 advantages. I'll allow that. Yeah, setback to him and then boost die to you. Cool. All right. That'll do.
Very well. I kind of circle around him. Well, he blocked he ducked under my blow.
He
And then
did.
he gave me that bit of a antler ringer.
Which you didn't expect this wiry bug dude to hit so hard.
Nope. So I'm going to give him a little bit of respectful space, and I'm going to come in with a nice measured strike right across the middle.
Uh-oh.
All right, so with that nice measured strike, what that's going to be is a melee heavy check. I've got a setback die from him, but aim for my maneuver, double aim for 2 string.
There you go. Ooh. Which hits
Nicely
you in your...
measured strike.
Uh-huh.
And not spending a story point.
Okay.
All right. I will not either. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Then here we go. Boom.
Oh.
What'd you get, Tony?
3 successes and a triumph. My triumph will be to score a critical hit.
Okay, so first off, how much damage is that? It's 3 successes. That adds to your brawn
plus
4
plus
3.
Brawn is 3. So 3 plus 4 plus 3 is 10.
10. Okay, minus my soak.
Yep.
3. That's
Soak of 3, so that'd be 7. Okay.
Yep.
And then you
Right.
want to triumph it.
Yep. And triumph,
You can crit
I
it.
would like to critically hit.
There you go.
So I don't know how to apply a critical on this.
you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the little dice next to the threat icon. Click on that, and then you get roll crit in red. Shows you numbered dice like D12, D10.
Got it. I see it.
And then it
And
says
roll.
apply crit. It says roll
Yeah,
crit or something.
Just
Okay.
So, he's
So I
bowled
rolled a 45
over.
or bowled over.
All right.
With
Bowled
this,
over. Target
knocked
is knocked
suffers
prone.
1 strain.
Oh, that's right there.
So
Duh.
1 strain more, and he's prone. All right.
Yeah.
So I made that, nice cross the middle section, but I got a little low and I knocked his legs right out from under him.
All right.
All
So
four.
one more strain there, Stefan. So I guess
Yep.
8 total in that round for you. But oof. Now remember, you're taking strain instead of wounds when you take
Yeah.
the
No,
damage. So, okay.
I do take
You are
that
prone.
into account. Not a problem. All right. So that was a solid hit.
Oh, it was. Knocked him down.
Yeah. All right. So he will take a maneuver to get back up
All right.
and leap back into melee.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So melee heavy.
Leaping bug strike.
Leaping.
Wow.
I'm a bug.
I'm a lumberjack and I don't care.
He'll take 2 more strain to aim
Okay.
and spend a story point to get an upgrade.
Okay.
So
Make
I've
it
got.
your best, because this is the
Yeah.
only one you're going to get.
Yes. Are you going to spend a story point or?
Oh no.
No? All right. Let's do it then. No, still rattled. So 0 successes. He falls short. Gets up and slips. And now he's at maybe
Well,
11.
what you're hearing, I'm thinking you're going to take this because the home crowd, even inside of the mental construct, is now cheering for Maple, maple,
Yeah.
maple, maple, maple.
So he's
Legacy, legacy.
He's hurting. I'm gonna come in for the final kill. So I learned a special technique from my grandfather that
Okay.
I have not shared yet. It's a special move, and it's called the reverse underhand chop, where you take your axe, flip it upside down in your hand, like you're going to bring it down as a club, but instead, on the backswing, you bring up the axe and you chop under their guard. And so, I'm upgrading.
Nice.
I'm aiming, and I will go ahead and take 2 strain to double aim.
I'll spend a story point as well because he doesn't want to lose in front of home priority, his home hive.
Oh,
All right, here goes for all the marbles.
Ah,
Boom.
Okay, so with the 360, he only had basically one more strain left. So you do a bunch, but there's a triumph there. So Tony, why don't you narrate how this axe melee ends for Maple and Rain here?
So that axe underhand, he just totally doesn't even see it. He's watching the end of the other end of the axe, thinking he's going to get bonked in the head. He ducks under it, and when he does, the axe blade comes up and hits him right under the chin, and the construct shatters, and we're both standing in the arena on the real world. The construct shattered around us. We're both standing there. He's kind of staggered for just a second.
Oh, yeah.
And Maple raises his big old freaking fist in the air with his axe on it, and he goes, "I want to enact the right of the champion and nominate Rain upon Rocks to receive his vestments as well, as he is an honorable opponent, and I wish to share the future with him as a fellow lumberjack."
And right there, the cheers come up, and when you do that, like the whole crowd and even Big John goes, "Oh, that's then they just start clapping and
Rain.
So that's how I spent my triumph, by the way.
That's how you spent your triumph.
3 successes and a triumph on that.
And a triumph. Excellent. Excellent.
Maple barely manages to get up. Maybe with Maple's help.
Rain.
Rain, sorry. And if I had deer ducts, I would cry right now. Thank you so much, my friend.
May we vanquish evil together forever, my friend.
Yes, together. And he raises his own mandible weapon.
Though, and then like the lumberjack council comes out later on that night, and there's a huge celebration where you both receive your lumberjack vestments and become official lumberjacks and receive your lumberjack axe and vestments. So
nice.
There we go. And maybe we'll see these characters in the future on another. That was great, guys. That was awesome. That was awesome. It was a long Advantageous Threats, but who cares?
Over three episodes. So.
3 episodes.
But, the way you came up with that competition, homie, well done. It felt like a real competition. There was things in there that an agile character or a beefy character could succeed at, and definitely it came along those lines too. It's at the beginning it was a little melee heavy, a little
brawn heavy.
Brawn heavy, and at the end it was a little agile heavy, and he came up to tie it at the end, and that was just a well designed challenge. Sir.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think if anybody wants to use something like this in their games as like coming up with events and such, yeah, I don't know. I think it worked kind of well. It did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, there was probably some things I could tweak, but I felt like it felt like a lumberjack competition, but you could definitely have it feel like any other kind of competition based on.
A great example of something you could do. You could do like a classic Olympics in a mythic setting.
Yeah, decathlon kind of thing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. You could do and have it as a a competition for some major thing that your players are trying to win. Maybe it's a magic item that they're trying to win that'll allow them to go out and hunt this particular monster in the mythic setting.
That would be show like American Gladiators.
Right. And something like and an event like the relay, like the baton, right? You can have like however many characters you have in your party. You have like maybe 4 characters in your party, right? Isn't like what is it called? Like the relay race or whatever, where they pass the baton. Relay. There's like 4 of them, right? You can have each character make a check for that event, Yeah,
it could all be done as a team.
It could be done as a team, yeah, for that.
Yeah, very
event.
Well done. So,
thank you, appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.
All right, then, yeah. So that was our Advantageous Threats, our part 3, and the end of the what was that? The Lumberjack Multiverse Championship from Zszree.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
All right, everybody. That was our show for this evening. That was awesome. Congratulations to you both, the co-winners. Well done, you guys. So we're gonna have a slight break. We'll be back in a month with our next actual play that I will be running these guys through, and Sean, Tony's son, through part 2 of the Primeval Thule Secret of the Moon Door adventure that I'm running. Yeah, that'll be in a month. Got a little bit of personal travel time that I'm kind of taking away here, and yeah, we'll be back in a month for that.
Yeah, and I have to work on here and there, so yeah, we'll just take a little break. Will be good for all of us.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. Any listener feedback?
We did have a bit of some feedback from one of our listeners and fans on MeWe, our social media platform there. Matt Grunswig was asking about heroic abilities from Realms of Tyranoth. So he starts with, in regards to my question about a signature style pet heroic ability, because he wanted to sort of reskin or change up the signature weapon that they have there. So he says, I've been thinking about it all weekend, and I keep ending up in circles about it. For a bit more info on what I'm trying to do is make a World of Warcraft style Hunter's Pet as a signature ability for Genesys. I know, Tony, you had replied initially a little bit before that, but was there anything specific that you had replied to him?
Well, I had just mentioned that you do need to take into account that there are talents that affect animal companions already, and that if he's going to design a signature ability, that they need to take that into account, that the player could take those as well.
Right.
But it was certainly doable, just challenging.
Right.
Yep.
Because
it's limited. You have to worry about, like, what is that heroic ability for that? What does it give the companion?
What he's going for So I said, I replied to him, well, I guess that would need to be well thought out and change maybe the various benefit levels. Instead of weapon attachments, the animal gets the occasional ability when story points are spent. To which he replies, yeah, that's why I've been going around with it and taking my time. I keep thinking it might be better to just give an animal that type of ability. And I get back to him again. Signature animal companion could also be like a familiar with minor abilities granted to the master all the time, and more potent abilities when those story points are spent. You'd want to keep it.
When you activate it?
Yeah, exactly. So for whatever reason, the animal companion, where maybe it's a cat, suddenly has the ability maybe to go through walls for some reason. Maybe being partially ethereal. I don't know, just something off the, but not all the time. So you're saying
Interesting.
So you'd want to keep it useful as useful as a signature weapon, which can be used in normal, in a normal combat, as a normal one in combat. So even like Alyssa in my role turned off, she's got a bow. So it's always a bow weapon, maybe better quality than the standard bow, but she can do really more stuff, nasty stuff, attacks when she spends the story point. So a bit like keeping that in mind. So the animal companion can still be very useful in all kinds of situations every day. So the familiar, while not as deadly as a weapon, but still versatile out in more narrative situations. That's why my example of, the cat maybe going through a wall and seeing what's on the other side. If that's one of the standard abilities of a familiar kind of thing, was seeing through the cat's eyes. And he does respond saying, "This is exactly what I'm trying to go for. It's coming along just slower than I'd like." So I just ask him, so keep us posted on your progress and any player feedback, and maybe that could be something good for sharing with others as a new heroic ability. Because
now I could see
like a signature weapon.
I could see okay, I think I know what he was trying to capture with the World of Warcraft type companion. Now your companions are normal, but they gain abilities, right? They gain a power that they can upgrade over time. So if you're going to do that, you want to form it after signature weapon. So your companion is going to be basic. It's going to be small, silhouette 0. Maybe it's a small cat or a small bird. But then when you activate the ability, if you want it to be a combat usable ability, when you activate it, the bird or the cat or the dog or whatever it is grows larger. Maybe it gains a silhouette initially, so that that means that its attacks are going to do a little bit more damage. Maybe it gains but what you want to decide, just like in the signature weapon, is the player chooses when they create the signature weapon what they add to it from a list of, whether you're adding agent or dwarven manufacture, or whether you're adding an attachment, and it
and
mimics,
what attachment? Right.
It mimics an attachment that it doesn't already have during when it's activated. So you'll want just like the players have to choose for their weapons, a list of things that a player could choose from when building their companion that companion could do when it's activated. Yep. So, and it doesn't have to be a huge list, 5-6 items
I would
on
think
the
so.
list.
That fit with the animal, yeah.
Yeah, but like changing its movement style, like you said, making it intangible is one that may be on the second list for the supreme ability. For the improved, you could have changing its movement style instead of having just a running, it could fly, or
give it like the pounce ability, or
give it like a pounce
deadly
ability.
Attack. Deadly predator. That's like a nasty ability that I think one of the great cats have, or something like that.
Yeah. Checking animal stats that already exist.
Yeah,
their
looking
abilities.
at animals that already exist, and maybe it's and maybe it's even more magical than that, and it's got some sort of even it could take on it's normally just a bird, but then it takes on the look of a phoenix when it's activated, so it takes on fire abilities. All those things are doable for this.
It gains a battle armor, like Thundercat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I mean, when he says that
when
he says that he wants to reskin signature weapon, to me it sounds like they want to use this companion as their main weapon, right? So
yeah.
I can't remember like how those companion rules work. If it's they take up when one of your companions attacks, whether it takes up your attack action or
no, it takes up your maneuver. You command your companion to attack.
But those are higher tier talents too, so you can't take it when you're a beginning character unless you spend a lot of points.
It's 3rd and 4th tier talents, I believe, for improved.
Yeah.
Or 3rd and 5th.
At least 3rd for the animal companion. So.
Right, and then I think it's 4th for dire animal or 5th tier talents for the dire companion. Either way, I mean, if you want it to take the place of your action instead of your maneuver in combat, it could be totally part of the signature companion.
Yeah, you could also think of it as a combination attacks. You and your animal companion attack at the same time, make a combined attack, a bit like what you did with your panda, Kung Fu Panda story, where 2 characters can get together and make an awesome attack together.
Yep, that works. All right. So that's good stuff, man.
Yeah, a little bit of feedback. I hope maybe that helps with some ideas. Mm-hmm. And let us know what you come up with.
All right,
was there anything in Keyforge that added to companions too? I can't remember if there was like a.
I don't think so. I only saw 3 talents: animal companion, dire animal companion, 1 improved, but it didn't change that much. It just maybe a bit of an aspect. I know one of them, Beastmaster. I like animal companions.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have any thoughts on this, folks out there, to help Matt, you can pipe up on Mayway in the chat. That's where that conversation was occurring. You can reach out to us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. Finding the Narrative on Facebook. And of course, Finding the Narrative on Mayway. At FTN_Genesys on Twitter, where you can talk to Stefan. And please recommend us out there to your friends and family. Mainly just friends. At Finding the Narrative Podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and many more. This is Tony saying, let's tell a story and spend those story points.
And this is Stefan saying, dare to ask for those boost dice and eat some delicious waffles.
Remember the rule of cool, everybody. Make sure you have plenty of French toast for the mosasaurs at your competition for sure. And waffles for Rain when he comes back next year. But most importantly, just have fun doing it. Good night, everybody.
Adios.
Bye.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright
2021.
All rights reserved.